Well, hey everyone, for RC Groups, this is Doug W. or Stealth RC on YouTube. Just wanted to show an install. I'm working on my second Windrider 737, which is going to be an RAF or AAF wedge tail. This is the install on the flaps before I actually put in the servo actuation arms. On the outboard flap, you can see again I'm using Dubro Micro razor control hinges here. There's a small stay that runs through here, and then this is all covered by the canoe itself. By using the offset hinges, it allows the flap itself to come down in a Fowler type position and come away from the wing. In this shot you can actually see that I've relief cut the wire from the servo, and you can see how it channels back through the wing itself. Coming down to the top view, same is true on the inboard flap. So again, keep in mind this is once we have the servos installed, but the flaps come down together. I've already channeled back again. It'll come through the root of the wing itself where I'll have it Y harnessed, and there'll be servo speed reducers on that. So you get a sense when it's back, looking along the wing, kind of how much deflection you see on the flaps themselves. In this case, you can see this is a spoiler that's partially installed, or at least test fit, dry fit. So when this flap comes down, you're going to see how the spoiler kind of boxes some of the lift, so it's actually capturing the lift underneath and channeling across the top. Hopefully this answers a couple questions on the install on the flaps. This is the same configuration that I did with my Alaska 737. The only difference in the hinges, by the way, if you're looking at this inboard flap, you'll see I cut away here from where the gear mount itself was, and then I'm using a park zone hinge here, one that I cut in half, one that I shaped slightly. They're actually slightly relief cut, and if you look carefully how they're hinged, this is basically because this flap sits so much higher than the actual install point, and to keep it moving on the normal axis without binding, I'm using that hinge. Because this wing's going to be all gray, this will pretty much disappear. So it will move in this type of fashion, slowly downward, and if you're looking at the edge of it, you can see it's pretty thin. The last little bit I'm going to do on this flap is actually going to be on the top portion of it, and that's going to be carbon fiber that I will lay into the top right here in a single line to add rigidity, because these flaps get really mushy. As you can see, I can bend it like that quite easily. Speaking of carbon fiber, this is the carbon fiber support rod that I've run through. This is dry fit, this is not actually glued yet, and it runs almost all the way to the midpoint of the aileron. It's very straightforward. I just used a Japanese back saw, I think that's what it's called. I'm not quite sure. This thing, whatever it's called, I'm not quite sure. And then what I do is on the pylon, I will actually have to install the engine pylon and this carbon spar at the same time. So I will cut a hole in the pylon itself to accommodate that spar so it runs through to the far side. And then this goes in one piece. I dry fit it and then CA the rest, and it's quite adequate. So using one of the engine nacelles as an example, I'll actually end up cutting, when this sits in like this, I'll actually end up cutting a hole in the nacelle in this manner in the wood block to allow that carbon fiber to go through. And it really makes the whole structure quite rigid, but it still allows for a decent amount of flexibility in scale movement. Hopefully that answers most questions. Again, the only thing we're really missing here is going to be the servo arms. Those will be attached right about here. Those will be Y harnessed together, back channeled through the area in the flaps, so you can see there's plenty of room. Y harness, 6-second servo reducers from Dynasys Designs, and then basically the whole thing's covered in Oracal 651C light gray 024 vinyl, which is in this handy dandy little guide right here, and I've been able to get most of this stuff commercially through the Fowler's catalog. Hope this helps. Sorry if it's a little boring, but primarily educational.